morning.
Morning.
You guys here?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So first of all, thanks to everyone for, actually you guys are kind of a test audience for me because I got 3 kids in San Marino, and next Wednesday is career day at middle school. So you think this audience is tough. I'm going to be talking to a bunch of 7th graders, right? That in the Snapchat generation. I'm going to be talking about computers and browsers, and they'll be rolling their eyes. So this is a good, good test. So this is just going to be a very casual talk. A little bit about me. I was born in Taiwan. I came here in '81 when I was 7. My dad was getting his master's at UC Irvine. And so I went to 2nd grade at Turtle Rock Elementary School. And this back in '81, I was the only Chinese in the entire school. So I kind of see myself as the pioneer. I brought in the Asian invasion. When I came here, my dad got me a Commodore 64, and I learned how to play program BASIC. So that was kind of the start of my tech career, if you will. Also got me an Atari, and all my birthdays, I think the first 3 or 4 years were all at Chuck E. Cheese. And 2 weeks ago, I met my hero, Nolan Bushnell, at Marshall USC booth. I'm a Bruin, so I'm not pretty good at it. So it's those kind of meetings where it's like, I met somebody who inspired me when I was young, and now I get to talk to him. Hopefully, we find this kind of inspiration meeting for you guys too. We moved to Torrance a year later, and so I grew up in Torrance. Great experience. I went to UCLA, yay. There's 3 seminal events that occurred to me at UCLA that shaped the way I am today. Number 1, I met my wife there, my future wife there, so that's always great. Number 2, I took a year of programming and computing classes, Picked 10 series at Overture Hall. I think a few of you guys know where that is. Overture is where Leonard Kleinrock basically sent the first message on the precursor of the internet, which is called the ARPANET, from UCLA to the Stanford campus. And I think the first message was like LOL, L-O. It was abbreviation for something. The 3rd letter got cut off. So everybody thought he was lolling, 40 years ago. So I was programming in basically the inception of the internet at Overture Hall. Yeah, I was a biochem major, so it was fun to be able to do that. But also the 3rd seminal event was in '94. I was at Royce Hall. Al Gore, our then vice president, came and gave a talk, and it was titled "The Information Superhighway." So I was at UCLA, where the internet was invented twice. I studied biochem. Didn't get into med. I was pre-med, like all Asian kids. Parents forced them to do. My wife was actually English pre-med. She got into med school. She went to Keck USC, so she's the smart one in the family. I didn't make it to med school, so my first year out, I actually worked around here. My first job in '96 was at City of Hope. I did HIV research at Zaya, Dr. Zaya's lab. He's head of pediatric infectious diseases. So we were in the forefront of that because David Hope was the Time Man of the Year that year. Actually, I think it was the prior year. He created the triple cocktail, of which Magic Johnson was one of the first recipients of it. So one of his doctors in his lab, he's in the East Coast, Shirley Lee, was pretty much my mentor, and so we worked on gene therapy, ribozyme gene therapy. I was working in a biohazard level 3 laboratory, full bunny suit, needle-resistant gloves, spinning down blood samples of patients who have full-blown AIDS, concentrating HIV and working with it. So, you hear technologies like CRISPR and a whole new slew of new genetic and HIV and cancer research now. City of Hope, working in conjunction with CAC, USC, Children's Hospital LA, and UCLA, did a lot of that, laid a lot of that foundation. Didn't really like doing research after a year of it, so I moved on back to Orange County, did a startup down there that went bust. Second startup, Kiko, was an interesting one. It was an ed tech company, a bunch of people from GeoCities, that was a $5 billion buyout, went to found Kiko. And three of them are here in Pasadena, actually four. Rich Rigg was the idea, created the idea behind Kiko and funded it. And Rich just gave a talk, I think last month, on great high-tech pot here at the Friday Coffee Meetup. So great guy. And then Jim McCarthy, Rich Webster, and founded Gold Star, who I worked with. So I know Jim, and I believe Jim's given a talk to you. He also has his mastermind talk, monthly entrepreneurship. Great meetup. So I worked with Jim in '99. So that was kind of my first connection. That he eventually moved here. When the company crashed in 2001 and burned through 20 million. 9/11 happened, we burned through 20 million. I was one of the first round of layoffs. My friend, my colleague there, said there was a little company here in Pasadena, and I didn't even know where the hell Pasadena was at the time, other than, the Rose Parade. It's called GoTo.com. They do sponsored search or paid search. And back in 2001, Google. Google was just like a new, you have like Alta Vista, Lycos, Excite, Yahoo was pretty much the granddaddy of search then. And they were all free. And I was thinking, why would anybody pay for search? That's just a crazy idea. And Lawrence, my friend's like, yeah, go talk to them, go check it out. So that's when I came here and moved to Pasadena in 2001. GoTo.com was incubated out of Idea Lab. They've already moved across the street to the Parsons building. There's already about 500, 600 people working there. It was already doing close to $1 billion. From an industry that was zero when it was founded in 96 to 97 to $1 billion by the time I joined. So I kind of got into a rocket ship that was already rising. So it was just an incredible experience. By the time we were acquired by Yahoo in 2004 for $1.7 billion, we were doing over $2 billion in search revenue. Some of the crazy stories, like I don't know if any of you guys remember Goldstein's Bagel. So Goldstein's Bagel was one of our first customers, and they said, search marketing thing that we put in $100 a month and see where it takes us. And so they were advertising bagels on our website, on our platform, that then we syndicate out to all the search engines. So if you search for bagels back then, you only get Goldstein's Bagels as a sponsored search result. We drove so much foot traffic to them, that every Friday they would just bring bags and bags of bagels over to our office, and so that was a great treat. Twin Palms, we signed a huge deal with EMC. It was a big disc platter company back in the days. They threw us monthly parties at Twin Palms. And back then, Kevin Costner owned Twin Palms. It was a hot place to be. They would close down the whole restaurant. 1,000 of us would stream down, and open shelf. It was just amazing times. One of our favorite restaurants back in the days was Kuala Lumpur, which is actually right across the street from, I think it's Green Street. I don't know where it is, but it's amazing Malaysian food. When we got moved by Yahoo to Burbank in 2004, I think half the restaurants here closed down as a result. Curry soon thereafter, and just last week, Noodle World closed down, which is like a mainstay here, and Cafe Bizou. So it's incredible to kind of see the evolution and trend of all the restaurants that came and went here. But we have a new crop of great new restaurants here. I kind of like to model my career and my stays after food as well. So moving to Burbank, Yahoo built a campus for us right across from the airport. The food scene there was horrible. It's the airport, right? I think it was Panda Express, Chinese food, right there. And but there we like worked with, again, even some top brightest people I've ever had the pleasure of working with. Worked on a project called Panama. It was the rewrite of the Overture search engine because around the time we got acquired in 2003, Google came out with a product called AdWord, which is just a blatant copy of Overture. They tweaked our formula a little bit, but it was pretty much a copy of Overture. So by the time we were in Burbank in 2006, 2005, 2006, they've caught up to us in revenue. They were doing $2 billion a year. They went from 0 to 2 billion in like 2 years. That took us, 4. So we're like, all right, we got a whole platform. We gotta catch up. So Project Panama was a rewrite. Probably one of the biggest projects in internet history. It was over 500 engineers. The center was in Burbank. We had people in Sunnyvale, people down in Carlsbad. We acquired a company called Keyline down there. It was like the origins of analytics. Urchin was acquired by Google around that time. That became Google Analytics. Keyline was our analytics for Yahoo. We deployed about 10,000 machines around 7 data centers around the world, which back before there was cloud, you actually had to physically rack and shelf machines and so forth. We wrote about 10 million lines of code. So after about 3 years, 3 aborted attempts at Panama before the third one stuck, we launched it, got about a 20% revenue uplift. So by then we're doing about 3 billion, which in any other industry is insanely successful. 20% uplift in about 3 year span. Google 10x'd us during that time. It went from 3 to 30 billion. So because of that, Yahoo pretty much gave up on search. That was around the time Microsoft offered us to buy us 40 billion. Jerry Yang famously turned it down. Also around that same time, Jerry Yang invested and got 20% of a little company in China called Alibaba. Which now is here, so that's my connection. During Yahoo, I worked with many people who have gone on to found companies or CEOs. Josh Meyer, he is CEO of Slick Deals. William Johnson, interesting, he's a founder of Vivo Aquatics. It's a pool company that they're now doing pool automation for like the Bellagio and fountains in Dubai and all the Sheraton hotels around the world, with this big knock control center in Las Vegas that controls everything. So it's like applying ad tech to pool tech. Worked with Chi Lu, who was my boss's boss. He was also down in Burbank every week, flying in and out. By the way, after 3 years of Panama, we did so much flying. The Southwest shuttle from here, Burbank to San Jose was called the Yahoo bus, because we see people with Yahoo backpacks there all the time. The bill we had, travel bill from Southwest after 3 years, was about 20 million. It shows you just the logistics behind. But Chi was down every week, and he sat right next to me. Hardest working man in the industry. He sleeps 3 hours a day. I think he has a sleeping bag right in his cube. I would come at 6 in the morning. He's already there shaving in his cube. He is now running Baidu in China. He ran all of search engineering. He went on to Bing. Now he's running Baidu in China, AI. My boss, my immediate boss, who ran all of Project Panama, Brian Acton, went on to build this little app that he was trying to recruit me in 2009. It was a messaging app. I was up in San Jose, and I famously turned it down because I just joined AT&T Interactive right after, and messaging then was a $40 billion industry for the carriers. And so Brian was trying to recruit me. I said no. So anyways, he went on to co-found WhatsApp. So he's another, and Brian was also down here. He was actually down in the Pasadena building all the time, and then Burbank, another humble smart guy, worth about $8 billion now. He just retired from Facebook and is building something that will help the world, help society. Kind of in the Zuckerberg vein. I know Zuckerberg is also, you guys hear, doing things to try to help the world or try to heal at least what Facebook possibly did with the prior election. So just sampling of some of amazing people I worked with at Yahoo. But when Yahoo decided to outsource search to Bing after the acquisition did not occur, I went on to AT&T Interactive, yellowpages.com. It was an acquisition by AT&T, and Yellow Pages was actually also here. Yellow Pages is found here, right above Victoria's Secrets. And it was acquired by AT&T, became Interactive, moved to Glendale. And so I ran the mobile team there. And that's kind of where I saw the diaspora of Yahoo Overture folks. A lot of people went there, a lot of people went to OpenX. It was just eHarmony was another cluster, and then folks wanted the West Side, Rubicon Project. Basically any company that wanted to do ad tech, big data, has a lot of origins with Overture and Pasadena folks. I was there for 4 years and left, came back for a little company here called Chegg. Chegg is actually a big company up in San Jose, textbook rental. They acquired a company down here called Cramster. So Rob and Aaron founded Cramster back in 2001. It was a SaaS-based homework help. So we had an office in the Soup Plantation Plaza on Lake, which Soup Plantation is no longer there, either along with Chegg. The interesting story there is I had an iOS engineer there. His name was Jonathan, and he built a very sexy app, a flashcard app for me. And it was very graphically intense, and the cards were smooth scrolling. You would swipe the card left if you get the card wrong, you swipe the card right if you get the card right. It got maybe 10,000 downloads. Chegg headquarters killed it, and he was let go. He then went on to join a incubator out of IAC called Hash Labs, and went on to found Tinder. So Tinder, the dating app, is based on a study guide. Exactly. A different kind of study. So after Chegg, I went to Oversea.net in downtown LA. Another big diaspora cluster of ex-Yahoos that went there. We're a big domain parking space, owned about 10 million domain names, monetized using Google AdSense for domains, which again was a point and copy of AdWord, or it's a derivative of AdWord and a copy of Overture. AdSense, on the other hand, so Google has two big pillars of monetization, AdWord and AdSense. AdWord is primarily for search, AdSense is for publishers, so you serve contextual ads on blogs to big sites like CNN.com. AdSense was also founded here. It was an acquisition of a company called Applied Semantic back in around 2002. Gil Laude, the founder, he's now running Factual on the west side. Another smart Caltech guy. Most of the original engineers at Overture were also Caltech folks. So Caltech actually is, you can say Caltech is the reason why the internet is free between AdWord and AdSense, that you're not paying for content. So at Oversea, we were kind of eating my old dog food, if you will, using Google AdSense for domain to monetize park domain sites. One of the best office I ever worked in was on the 44th floor of the Paul Hastings building. I got a clear view of Santa Monica. But this company went from 0 to 250 million, back to close to 0 now. So I kind of joined them when they were kind of on a downward slide. And that's where my takeaway there was being to work in a company that was now scrappy and fighting for dollars, trying to optimize. You kind of operate in a different way than when you were kind of on a rocket ship and growing. So good lessons learned from failures or from companies that are on the decline. After Oversea, I came back again to Pasadena, or Pasadena adjacent. I work for a company called SyncTree. It was founded by my friend Masaji, who I hired at Yahoo 12 years ago. And he lives here in Pasadena. SyncTree was based in Altadena office. And we have SyncTree and Phoebe here. And SyncTree, we built great things, big web scale and data pipelines. We do DevOps-as-a-Service. So one of the fun things we did there was StarWars.com. Disney Interactive was a client. We built the March Madness bracketology of Star Wars, where we're competing Yoda versus Boba Fett and Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan. I think Darth Vader won in the end. But anyway, SyncTree, we built that. This was 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. So, catching up to the present, I just joined Sellbrite about 8 months ago with Brian there in the corner as the CEO, and he gave a talk along with Mike last year. Sellbrite, we're an e-commerce platform. We're small and scrappy. We've got about 25 people. We're right next to Rocco's Tavern on Green Street. We're actually subletting from them. And so you hear them moving their kegs every Friday as we're trying to do our stand-up. It kind of brings me full circle back to here to Pasadena again for the second time, at least in old Pasadena. A lot of things have changed, but also a lot of things have remained the same. So kind of what I see as, and I'm also on the board of Innovate Pasadena. Got to give a shout out here, Mark told me that. So we offer plenty of programs. This is probably the oldest Innovate Pasadena program, the Friday Coffee Talk. But we have plenty of other programs. Just come check out on our website, innovatepasadena.org, and get on the mailing list. But what I kind of see, based on my history of working in the internet space and living in Pasadena adjacent, I live in San Marino, as kind of three things going forward that is unique about Pasadena and Pasadena Tech. One is we do hard sciences. We have JPL, we have Caltech, Harvey Mudd nearby. We recruit from UCLA. I would maybe even consider USC as a decent university, maybe. So we have a lot of talent to recruit from. We have the Pasadena Center of Arts here, so a lot of creativity. We used to have a culinary school here, which was world class. It's such a shame that place shut down. Although I think something went in its place. There's another culinary school now. So we have that. We have venture capital, maybe not as much as you see on the west side and Silicon Beach, but starting to get that. We have diversity. We have, I think, a lot more diversity than I see up in Silicon Valley, which is very monoculture. Everybody drinks and talks about tech. You go to any Starbucks, that's all they talk about. Here, we have content, we have Hollywood, we have design, we have art, we have hard sciences, JPL. Virgin Galactic was headquartered here. I think they recently moved. So we had one of the two private enterprises that are trying to put people out into space. So so we have, and SpaceX is down here in LA as well. So that kind of diversity you don't see anywhere else. We also have cultural diversity. Living in San Marino, I see more of it. A lot of Chinese are moving in. Alibaba, invested here. They signed a 10-year lease here, so they're right next to the Pasadena Playhouse. So they're going to be here for the long term. I hear another big Chinese company, JD, which I think is a subsidiary of Tencent. They're also looking for LA office too. So I kind of see a lot of Chinese investing, not just in homes, which I've seen. It's the first hand in San Marino, the Sunday tour bus. So people, coming out and going to open houses and investing in it. I've been working actually with my parents who live down in Irvine. Their neighbors are Chinese investors. They took me on also an investor bus to look at a few VR companies in Burbank and down in Aliso Viejo. So now instead of buses pulling up to open houses, got buses of wealthy Chinese pulling up to your startups, and giving a half-day due diligence and look. So I see diversity as a huge strength here in Pasadena. And thirdly, I see Pasadena is unique in that they're doing a lot of things that are about civics. And Pasadena itself is a very progressive city. I remember when the original electric car, the GE EV1 came out, I think maybe almost 10 years ago. Pasadena was the first city to install electric chargers. And Pasadena is probably still the only city I see that has free electric chargers in all our public parking lots. About 7 years ago, I was walking my kids at 7, 8 at Victory Park, and I saw a solar-powered trash compactor that the city installed. First time I've ever seen that. We have Metro Bikes, probably the first place I've ever seen us with Metro Bikes, or down here in LA. Andy Wilson, co-founder of Innovate Pasadena and an old colleague of mine at Overture, also very civics and government-minded, right? He's now our District 7 councilman, and he's also kind of graduated to the next big step. He is now on he's the executive director of the Alliance of Southern California, which is tying together all our major Southern California universities with venture capital, and Eric Schmidt sits on the board. So, and last but not least, my friend and old neighbor in San Marino, Derek Kahn, super smart guy. He was last GM of Lyft, Los Angeles, and late last year, he got tapped by the administration to be undersecretary to the Department of Transportation, second highest Asian American in administration after Elaine Chao. He reports to Elaine Chao, and so he's overseeing transportation infrastructure, self-driving cars, even NASA space, I hear, he told me was part of the Department of Transportation, which I wasn't aware of. So by the biggest growth and one of the most important departments now in the government in the U.S. And it's refreshing to have competent people running it to offset what we have with our employees. So I think that's also very unique to Pasadena. I haven't seen that kind of engagement in civics and government in any other city in the West Side where they're making foo-foo apps, consumer apps. Here we're working on hard sciences, but we're also working on things that I think help the people as a whole. So I have a lot of fondness and respect here in Pasadena, and I can't wait to see where Pasadena takes us. So kind of in my journey, I've met and worked with a lot of great people, and it's sometimes maybe luck, but it's also just being in the right time, the right place. And I see a lot of great potentials here, and maybe someday, one of you guys will find the next WhatsApp or run the next Baidu. So with that, thanks.
That is an impressive story. I feel like millennials, raise your hand. Raise your hand. You know where I'm going to go with this. You should create like a rule book or a guidebook for millennials on how to jump ship at very strategic times to optimize your career trajectory.
True.
Man, I mean, how many companies have you worked for in the last 10 years?
I kind of see it like, one of my analogy is Forrest Gump. The other is like playing Frogger. Remember when you're playing Frogger, you just kind of anticipate what's the faster log that's moving right. Without being sloshed by a car, right?
Well, you're obviously thriving with Celb right now, and that's awesome. So kudos to you, and also kudos to Celb for having this amazing guy on your team. We're going to open up to Q&A now. If you have a question, raise your hand. John will walk around with the mic. If whatever you're saying does not end with a question mark, please save it offline, comments and storytelling later. Will you be here for that? Maybe?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So if you guys like to share stories about Pasadena or whatever, let's just save that for offline. Thanks.
So thanks for that walk down memory lane for those who've been through the whole thing. Can you talk a little bit about culture when your CEO is running your company into the ground?
Not Cellbrite.
Famously,
Okay.
no. When we think about Yahoo, I think
Yeah.
about one of the great tragedies
Yeah.
in all of
Yeah.
technology history, brand history. You were there when the decisions were made to surrender search.
Yeah.
Talk about when those
Sure.
decisions come down from the front office. What does it do to the engineers who are trying to make something important happen?
Sure. So Terry Semel and Jerry Yang were the CEOs when I was there. Terry comes from Hollywood, he was CEO of Warner Brothers, so he was trying to make Yahoo Hollywood, which again is, I think, ahead of its time. Because now you have Alibaba and Netflix and Amazon all doing so. A lot of times it's just being timing, and pioneers typically never win. It's usually second to market. People who learn from mistakes from the first. But Terry also has his quirks, so and it's very hard to marry old school Hollywood with tech. So there was a lot of clash. Jerry is kind of this tragic hero figure, founder. Jerry and David created the internet. Back in '95, Yahoo was the internet, all the way up to, I'd say, 2002, 2003. So a little bit of founder's pride. When you're offered $40 billion and he said no. But he's also will go down in history as one of the greatest investors in the history of the internet. Right? He invested in Alibaba back in 2002. I think he played golf with Jack Ma around 2003. And when Microsoft acquisition failed because of Jerry's decision, Chi Lu was sitting next to me. He didn't say a word throughout the whole thing, but he knew at that time that the only way we could have competed against Google is to combine forces. Get the smartest PhDs at Yahoo with Microsoft. That's the only way. So when the acquisition failed, Chi retired, and a month later he was tapped by Steve Ballmer to run Bing. And he brought all his PhDs and super smart engineers up. So it was a much cheaper acquisition for Microsoft, and actually made out well. But you could, hindsight's always 20/20. And I remember at the time, a lot of our engineers were very cynical about some of these decisions. We actually didn't want to get acquired by Microsoft. Who wants to work at .NET when we were doing open source stuff. But hindsight being 20/20, you could never, if you had the foresight to make these right decisions in the first place, then we'd all be rich. But at the same time, I think the key is to kind of learn from them, and next move.
Speaking of hindsight, isn't it true that they also had an opportunity to buy out Facebook for
$1 billion, and that was Terry Semel, and that was the famous story of afterwards Zuckerberg, who was like 22, saying felt like he was talking to his old uncle when it comes to the internet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of hindsight, you also talked about the opportunity where you kind of spurned joining the creator of WhatsApp, and speaking today, what did you learn from that, and is that maybe what's brought you to Cellbrite to a degree? Well, I feel like we all have that kind of.
Yeah. Well, one, I would have to move up north. Brian lived in Saratoga. They had an office in Mountain View. I didn't want to move. Southern California, LA. This is my thing. So zero regret. I also think that crazy wealth could change you. I mean, I don't mind getting it, but it's like I don't know where I would be if I had that kind of wealth. So basically, their first hire was Rick Reed, another Yahoo. After I turned down Brian, he got 1% of the company of the $20 billion. But it's like I'm pretty happy where I am right now, so no regrets.
Nice to have you in San Marino too. Question as far as the foreign capital. When I first got involved with Friday Coffee Media back in 2013, I also was witnessing a lot of capital coming to the San Gabriel Valley and going into real estate and running up the prices there. And I was thinking, well, one of the reasons is because a lot of these investors didn't know there was an alternative to place their money, and certainly they were a little bit leery of stock markets and things like that. But as you had talked about during your talk, there's a lot of innovation, a lot of innovative companies being created here and now. We're starting to see that influx of capital. Do you see that increasing? Because if it does, certainly that's going to really change the landscape of the area.
Yeah, a lot of Chinese money is pouring in because San Marino was, and Arcadia was kind of the first generation of how Chinese park their monies overseas, right? Now I think they're now looking into tech and investing in tech. Actually, my friend David Zito's company, Miso Robotics, right? Build robot burger flippers. If you go to Cali Burger, there's no short order cook in the back; it's a robot. Got his $2 million from a Chinese investor. So I think Chinese like to invest in physical tech, things that they can see. They're maybe a little behind in terms of like more ephemeral things like blockchain, ad tech, and so forth. But they know factories, they know how to build physical things, robotics and automation of logistics. That's actually a very natural thing that they look at, and I think you're going to see a lot of that innovation here in Pasadena in terms of robotics and automation. In fact, we're landing people on, are landing robots on Mars already, right? San Marino dad, Isa Nestes, is head of robotics for JPL, right? So, we're doing really cool, hard problems here. And I think Chinese are looking into that.
How's it been over your career transitioning from large technology organizations, thousands of people, to a startup like Sellbrite?
Right.
Gotta be pretty different.
So not really in that I've worked at the two big companies in Yahoo and AT&T Interactive. They were still startup in culture and nature. Technology kind of operated on their own. We dictated our roadmap. We organized into small and agile teams. We definitely had a lot more resource here. Sellbrite, where it's not a ramen startup in the sense, but we're revenued, but we were pre-Series A, so we don't have 20 million in the bank. So I have to hire based on our growth, and I have to but it kind of, I think it builds character. Working in big companies, you kind of learn how to optimize at a large scale. But now with a startup, you kind of learn to optimize at a smaller scale with less resources at your disposal. But I think it's more fun because you're not as complacent.
Everybody's heard about Silicon Beach, and that's a lot more famous down here in Southern California compared to Pasadena. Yet, I would say you didn't talk too much about Idea Lab and the role that it played in the Pasadena as far as the ecosystem for creating startups and all that. Going forward in the next 5 years, 10 years, what do you think Pasadena can do to kind of get a higher level of recognition for its contributions? I mean, you talked about Caltech and its role, but to gain a little bit more recognition for all that it's done.
So I did mention Idea Labs because Sellbrite's my second Idea Lab company. Sellbrite's an Idea Lab company. Goju.com, Overture was an Idea Lab company. Idea Lab was founded in 95, 96. Phil Gross, the original incubator even before anything up in Y Combinator or anything up in the Bay Area. I think we have room for more Idea Labs, other incubators and accelerators. I think Bill is very prolific and great with a lot of great ideas, but we could use more of that. People with their, again, what I mentioned about diversity. It's good to have new blood. It's good to have different types of thinking coming in to rejuvenate. And I think it starts with having that ecosystem of talent, innovation, entrepreneurship, capital, and that's what Innovate Pasadena is trying to do here, and now what Andy's trying to do across all of Southern California. So maybe we can write the coattails of Alliance too, as he kind of bring even bigger name recognition to Alliance. We're part of LA, so we're part of the Alliance.
Anybody else like to ask a question? I want to hog up the mic since I hold it. Mike, are you ready?
Yeah, I guess so. Or we have a couple minutes here, and since you're on the board with Innovate Pasadena, are there any really cool programs that you'd recommend that we can plug into, especially for the people that don't know what the organization's all about?
Sure. So our biggest thing is Connect Week, and that occurs in November. We have the Irby Derby, which we competed in and lost to iRobot. Can you believe it? We shouldn't even allow a company that does robotics to
compete in the Irby Derby.
Because they probably juiced up all their Irbys.
For those of you that don't know, Irby's an electric mobile transporter. It's kind of like a portable electric bike that goes about 15 or 18 miles an hour, depending on the model that you get.
Yeah, their office is right next to us.
Also Pasadena local.
Also founded here in Pasadena. All their aluminum bodies are machined and CNC'd here in Pasadena, a little bit east of here. So another great Pasadena startup. But Connect Week, we do fun events like that. It was a whole week, and we're already starting to plan our upcoming Connect Week. I mentioned Jim McCarthy, a Gold Star. He has his monthly mastermind. Jim is also a big theater guy, so he runs TEDx Broadway, for example. So he's in New York, once a year promoting that. He did a lot of great things with the Pasadena Playhouse. The Pirates of Panzan program that's showing, we had a little sneak preview there where it's a kind of a slight derivation of the original Panzans, but it's got rum stand and people free float and walk around, so it's interesting stuff. Let's see, what other events?
Tech meetup.
Yes, I forgot to plug our own. So we're going to start our own Golang tech meetup. It's going to be in our office. I think we settled on February 28th as the first. Awesome. Josh, there's Josh. He's also helping out. There we go. Literally, I was having coffee with Christy in the back at Intelligentsia 6 months ago, and we were talking about tech, and I just joined Cellbrite, and Josh was right next to me, and I think I mentioned Go or something like that. He goes, "Oh, I do Go." And that's how we connected. We're a Ruby on Rails shop and Angular shop. We're going to be slowly transitioning to Go and React. And Go is a great language. It's created at Google, and it's the new hotness now. So we don't have too many Eastside tech meetups. So I think Go meetup is a great opportunity to come check out our first meetup. We'll have pizza and beer. Scale is another great conference that's coming up, Southern California Linux Expo. I know the founders, and then Chris Smith, who's the head of data at Live Nation. He's a good friend of mine. He is co-hosting this. It's at the Pasadena Convention Center, just a week of geekness. They got a small group there that do ham radios. So they got a ham radio nuts there, espousing the ham radio stuff. But it talks about open source, various other things. They even have a kids track, so you can bring your kids at 6 o'clock, program scratch, do Lego robotics. We do Rails Girls once a year. Holman and I, we've mentored, so helping girls and women learn Rails. I think women are definitely very, very underrepresented in tech, which is totally ironic because 60 years ago, they're the ones human computers that basically launched satellites into space. So I have 2 daughters. I want the best opportunity for them. And I actually think some of the best data science people I've worked with are women. So definitely want to encourage that. And I think Women in Tech is something we hosted at Cellbrite, another great opportunity. So lots of good stuff. Go to innovatepasadena.org, subscribe to the mailing list, you'll get the weekly.
Awesome. Thanks, Gene. Thanks for the questions, guys.